Hi everyone, in this video we are making our signature dimple cup. We use around 350 grams of clay. A great tip from John Britt that we have found works very well to reduce the number of S cracks is to flip the clay around after you have done one round of coning. What happens here is that the particles in the clay that have been stabilized through the first round of coning is now flipped on its end to be the base of the cup. After that, we continue with what we did earlier, that is to cone a second time round, which will now be the top part of our cup. After centering the clay nicely, a small depression is made in the center of the clay, and that is slowly expanded with the help of some water. The width of clay is now the bottom of the dimple cup. And to really ensure the risk of S cracks is reduced, we use a wooden tool to flatten the base further. This tool is one that was handmade a few years ago and has continued to be very handy for this specific function. Once we are ready to start pulling, we do a first important step called the pre-lift. That essentially evens out the walls and sets it up for the first pull. Using both fingers together, we gently pull up the clay from the base all the way through to the top, while keeping a steady hand. This repeated process of pulling is continued a few more times until the vessel has reached its desired height. Here we are using a chopstick with a marking made to check the height of the vessel, using the reflection in the mirror. We found that the use of the mirror has saved our backs from bending over multiple times, and if you haven't already included a mirror in front of your wheel, we would highly recommend you doing so. Finally, once the cup has reached the shape that we are satisfied with, we use the sponge to soak up any excess water at the bottom of the cup. Again, the purpose of this is to reduce S cracks that may form during uneven drying. We then remove the excess clay from the base of the pot, and this will be further trimmed to give its final shape. Look out for the next video to see how we share our processes of trimming this dimple cup. We leave the cups to dry on the shelf to firm up a little bit before we get to them next. At this stage, the cups are firm enough to be held without deforming, but at the same time soft enough to be molded into shape. This is when we form the dimple in the belly of the cup. Once the cups have had their dimples put in, they are then left to dry further upside down until they are firm enough to be trimmed. Like I mentioned before, be sure to check out our next video to see how we trim them. Alright, that's all for this video. We hope you have learned a thing or two. See you in the next one.